Welcome to a quick overview of Adaptable Blotter.js, and the purpose of this video is to give a very brief tour of some of the features which are in the product. If you want to know more, please visit our website www.adaptabletools.com. So the purpose of Adaptable Blotter.js is to provide a data agnostic layer of functionality that sits on top of a number of different HTML5 grid controls, both commercial and open source, and to provide the features that developers need to add themselves. So it doesn't matter what your data is, you just feed the blotter a data set, and as you'll see, we provide a number of additional advanced features that are extremely useful. So one use case, of course, is searching. We're starting here with the AG grid. We're just using some dummy data. So let's, for instance, do a quick search. This is a very common use case. We put in, say, 15, and we can see any cell, whether it's numeric or a date, that contains 15 in it. Now, all our features and all our functions come with a number of additional properties. So, for instance, for the quick search, you can change the back color. You can say, I only want to return rows and highlight cells which match. And instead of containing, I just want starts with. So as you can see, we've now got a reduced result set returned. And you can decide for each user and for each role which functions they can see and which properties they can see. So you can configure it that certain users can only see certain functions, and they might be able to use searches, but they can't create their own. Basically, the entitlements and the permissioning hierarchy is entirely up to you, and then all our features and all our functions will fit into that. So that's quick search. But what happens if you want to do a more complex cross-column search? Well, that's where advanced search comes in. So let's create one of those now. So let's start with the counterparty, and we'll first look at some column values. So we'll say we only want to return rows which contain any of these column values. Let's add another search criteria, and this time we'll do a range. We'll do a filter. We ship with a number of filters, both for dates, numeric, and string columns. So for date columns, we're going to say it's got to be in the future. Trade date has to be in the future. And now let's add a third one. We'll add a range. We'll use this column here. And we will say that the bid offer spread has got to be greater than 0.2. So these are our search criteria. It's got to be one of these counterparties. The trade date's got to be in the future. And the bid offer spread's got to be greater than 0.2. Let's give that a name. That's our search criteria. And then you can see there's a reduced result set returned. Anytime you want, you can clear it, and you can run the search whenever you want. And you can have as many searches as you decide. You can ship with some, and you can allow users to create their own. So that's search, but we also have the ability to filter. You can go into any column, and you can choose either an individual value, so just DUR, or you can choose multiple values. But let's imagine that we always want to filter on these three, EUR, GBP, USD. So instead of having to do it each time, we allow you to create a user filter. Let's do that now, EUR, GBP, USD. And we'll give that a name. We'll call it top currencies. And now, if I go into the currency column, I go into filter, you can see top currencies, and it allows me to filter on those. But that object we've created is now a first-class object throughout the grid. So if I go back into the search we made before, and we edit it, and we go into the currency column, you can now see there's top currencies, and we're also filtering on that as well, which obviously reduces the data set, and it's a live search. So if I change GBP to GBPX, press enter, then the row disappears because obviously it's no longer part of the search. So that's three functions that allow you to reduce the rows that are returned. What happens if you want to reduce the number of columns you see, or the order? Well, to do that, we use layouts. Let's first change some columns. So let's put the bid offer spread column top. Let's remove the desk ID column, and let's remove this column as well. So we've now got a different order. We've got bid offer spread first. The layout's modified, but let's actually give that a name. So let's call this demo layout. And then obviously anytime you want, you can go back to default, or you can go back into demo. So we've got, and everything we've built so far, we've been working on the AG grid, but will work across all the grids. So if I go into the hypergrid, which is a different grid, you can see we've got the demo layout, we've got the demo search, and if I go into the filter, you can see top currencies. So they're all different ways of reducing what you see. But what happens if you want to change the way the grid looks? Okay, so let's clear our search. So one thing which is very common is you might want, particularly if you've got ticking data like we have here, to be able to see things flash as they change. We have a flashing cell feature, and you can change the up and down colour, you can change duration, but to keep it brief, we will just turn it on for all columns, and you can see whenever any column flashes, whenever a column ticks, the flashing cells work. We also have the ability to change how a cell looks via conditional styles. So let's say for this one, we're going to change the for colour to be green if the value in the cell is positive. Let's create another one also for change on year. It's a single column. Change on year. And we will set the, we'll set the for colour to be red when it's negative. And there we are, red and green. And of course, we can also create row styles. So let's create a row conditional style. Let's see, why don't we use what we made earlier? So let's make that the back colour. Let's make that the fore colour. And it was currency, wasn't it? Go to currency, there's our top currency. So we say, anywhere where it's one of our top currencies, let's show this row style. And again, these will work everywhere. So I can go into the Kendo grid, and you can see the row styles, you can see the styles, you can see the layout. And likewise, if I go into the AG grid, again, you've got the layout and you've got the styles. Another common thing which people want to do is to be able to change the sort. Generally, if you click on a column, it sorts it alphabetically, which is fine sometimes. But what happens if you have sectors or you have particular columns that you want to sort in a different way? So what we allow you to do is to create a custom sort for any column you want. So in this case, let's say we always want to see GBP first, then we want to see USD, then we want to see EUR, and everything else can be sorted alphabetically. So that's my sort. And now, if I sort here, you can see GBP first, USD, EUR. And again, obviously that works irrespective of what you're using. If I sort on the currency column, there we are, GBP, EUR, USD. And the reason why they're all brown, of course, is because of the conditional style we created earlier, which I'm going to delete because it's really irritating me. We also obviously have the ability to allow you to ship your own themes or to use one of our themes. So for instance, if you want to change the theme, you can do so, and obviously all our functions still work. And we ship with as many themes as you want. You can have your own theme if you prefer. Another common thing which people obviously want to do is to be able to edit data, and we give you a number of different ways to do that. One is the smart edit function. So let's imagine that you want to edit a number of cells in one way. You want to do a kind of bulk edit. So we provide smart edit, and you can do one of three things. You can either add a particular value to all of them. So let's imagine we want to add 2.5 to all of those cells. There they are, they all go up by 2.5. Or you can multiply them. So let's imagine you want to multiply them all by 12. You can do that, they've all changed. Or as I say, you can do a bulk update. This basically is the replace function. So if we're going to replace them all with, let's find a number that's in the middle, 33, we apply that, you see some go up and some go down. So that's smart edit, and you can add other types of edits yourself. Another common feature which people want to see is to avoid fat finger errors, where you type in 100,000 or 10 million instead of a million. So we ship with a shortcut function. Let's create a couple of shortcuts very quickly. So for numeric columns, let's say, if I type the letter M, I'm going to multiply by a million. And let's create a date shortcut as well. And we'll say here, if I type in N, then that's going to change it to the next working day. Today is the 31st of August, so the next working day is the 1st of September. So there's our numeric, multiply n by a million, and there's n next working day. So if I now go in here and I type 4 and m, it becomes 4 million, 12 m becomes 12 million. And if I go into a date column and I type n for that shortcut, you can see it jumps to the 1st of September. Now, if the next day being a working day, if I was to do this on a Friday or the day before a holiday, then it will look at your calendar. At the moment we're looking at the US calendar, and it's not a bit holiday tomorrow. But if it was, it would take that into account, and it would jump to the next working day. The final feature we're going to look at, and again we've only had a time to look at a very small subsection of features, is custom validation. Let's imagine that you like all these editing, but actually for some users you need to be a bit more careful, or you need to say, well actually today I just want an additional layer of protection. So let's create a couple of cell validations. So let's imagine that for some users the notional column should not be editable at all. So we want to say we want to prevent the cell edit at all times. And there we are. So notional, no changes are ever allowed. And now if I go into the notional column, I type 5 and I press enter, that's not allowed because no changes are allowed. A more clever example might be for cell validation when you want to allow the edit, but you want a warning first. So let me give an example of that. Let's say for bid offer spread, I want to show a warning if the new edit doesn't match this rule. So we're saying if the new value is less than 3, and you can see you can have you can do change in value, percentage change, you've got a huge range of what you want to do. So we're going to say here that if the new value is less than 3, that's fine. Otherwise, show me a warning. So if I go into bid offer spread, I change that to 2, that's okay. But if I change this one to 5, I now get the warning. I say the new offer is not less than 3. I can either cancel the edit or I can bypass the rule. I'm going to bypass the rule, so now it's made. And let's imagine now someone says, hold on, how did we end up with 5? I thought we had a rule which said that it's got to be less than 3. So what we have is everything which you do in the Adaptable Blotter is completely audited. Every keystroke, every data change, everything which anyone does is completely audited. And you can see, so here's the state change of what we've just done. The old value was 33 and the new value is 3. And so for everything anybody ever does in the Adaptable grid, we have the ability, we send it through the audit log. You can listen to it. Here you can see the bid offer spread was for the bulk edit column. So you're able to see that a user got a warning. You can see there was a state change. You can see there was a confirmation. You can see what the validation warning was. Now you can use any software you want. For this demo, we're just using the Elastic Stack. But whatever listening software you can listen to, because these are just JSON objects. You can see this is just a typical object. It says who made the change, when it was made, what the user was. But it does give you a perfect look over everything that's happened. So you can imagine that you can look at how any data's changed over time, or you can look at what any user's done, or if someone phones support and says, hold on, why can't I see my desk ID column? You can say, oh, that's because you put your demo layout on, and if you go back to your default layout, then there you are, your desk ID will come back. So, as I say, that's just a very brief overview of just some of the features. There's many, many more, as you can see. But hopefully you've seen enough to see that Adaptable Blotter is an incredibly powerful extra layer of functionality that we add on to a number of different grids. And as I say, everything we've done works across every grid. So if I try and change a notional, I get exactly the same error as I did on the other grid. So that's Adaptable Blotter. Please look at our website, www.adaptabletools.com, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for watching.